filming videos, I would go through and just say to myself, this is my body today. This is my 6-month postpartum body right now. And take away kind of that negative talk about, oh, I'm so gross and I'm this and that. And I would have to really flip the script. I really had to show up with the conviction and belief in myself that I still have something to bring to the table here. It would be a disservice to actually not show up.
Welcome to Camera Confident. I'm your host, Shirlee Engel, former TV correspondent turned entrepreneur. Tune in to master what to say, how to say it, and how to create buzz for your brand. Whether you're hitting record for the first time or trying to land major media opportunities, I've got you covered. Get ready to crush it on video or stage, attract more clients, and bring in more money so you can run your business and live your life your way. Hello and welcome to the Camera Confident podcast. I am so excited about this episode because I'm going to be speaking to my friend, fitness and nutrition coach, Athena Concannon. And Athena has such an amazing story for us today, which is really about body image and how we balance body image with the need to be on camera, even when we're not too keen about doing it. So before we get started, we always start the Camera Confident podcast with your elevator pitch. So tell us, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So I'm so happy to be here. My name is Athena Concannon. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach. I have specializations in pregnancy and postpartum, exercise, as well as female metabolism. And I work with the over 35 age group to lose weight, build muscle, and do it in a way that doesn't require a life overhaul. Because what is the point of doing all of that if we can't sustain the changes for the long haul?
I love that because that is one of the biggest struggles, right?
Yeah.
Being on that constant roller coaster of having this love-hate relationship with your body. And when you finally get results, you can't keep them because you're going to pass out.
Exactly. And I think too, what I love about working with this over 35 age group is that society really has a lot of things to say about what's possible for our bodies after we have babies, after we hit perimenopause, menopause, how we should look. And I really don't believe in that we have to just be doomed to a certain stage of life and a certain appearance just because we've gone through certain life transitions.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons I was really excited to talk to you, Athena, is because obviously real life situations are one thing when it comes to body image. Being on camera is a whole other ballgame. Mm-hmm. And especially for a lot of our listeners and viewers, they're entrepreneurs, they're thought leaders, they're service-based businesses, they're people who are coming on and they're looking to connect with clients, connect with people to boost their revenue, boost their sales. Some of them don't really want to be on camera that much, but it comes with the territory. So I'd love to hear from your perspective because you yourself have gone through a bit of a transformation in this regard. How do you show up confidently on camera when you hate what you see in the mirror?
Yeah, and I'll give a little context to this. So my son was born about 2 years ago now, and after my second pregnancy and postpartum, which had a lot of different complications than my first I was like definitely more of that snap back, bounce back situation in my own body. But after I had my son, I just had a lot more rehab to do and I did not have that snap back that you hear about or that I did have with my first. So that I really got down on myself about it. And as a fitness entrepreneur, I do have to show up on camera demonstrating exercises. As an entrepreneur, we go on camera to be marketing and selling. I have my content, I have, podcast episodes, all of that, but also for my own clients, I film a lot of things. And I was going through this inner monologue of imposter syndrome and who am I to be doing this when I can't even say rehab my diastasis, when I'm a postpartum specializing coach. I would have these feelings of, oh, I just don't want to be on camera today because I'm not happy with how I look. And just as, again, someone that works in this field where I help women achieve body change, that was just this very weird middle place to be.
So I'd love to hear more about that. How did you navigate that? Uh, because like you said, it's that is what you do. And part of appealing to your ideal client is embodying what the transformation that you are promising them, right? So how did you navigate that?
Yeah, a lot of it is inner monologue work. A lot of it is mindset. I really believe that I do believe that people can be fit and healthy in various size bodies. And I had to take that belief and apply it to my own situation now. I would have to say to myself, people don't want perfection. I believe that to be true as well. People want to see the messy. They want to be able to relate. I I think that if somebody sees somebody that's almost like too perfect in some ways, it can deter and be like, that's not for me. I don't see myself in them. So there was a lot of work with that. A lot of times, before filming videos, I would go through and just say to myself, "This is my body today. This is my 6-month postpartum body right now." And take away kind of that negative talk about, "Oh, I'm so gross and I'm the," and I would have to really flip the script.
Wow, that's so powerful because if you think about it, we're so mean to ourselves. I mean, I can't even count the number of times that I'll do something and there's this voice in my head that's like, oh, this looks terrible. Your hair looks so bad. You look so tired today. You need more makeup. You look a little heavier than you did yet. Whatever it is. And can you imagine if that was an actual person saying that to you? That would be an abusive relationship. We're almost our own, we abuse ourselves in our own heads, especially when it comes to our appearance. But there is nothing more, confronting from an appearance perspective than having to be on camera. So I love that authenticity and I love that honesty, Athena, because I agree with you. I think that people when they see a woman who as you said, snaps back. I don't know anybody like that. That wasn't me either. Snaps back from pregnancy and just looks like $1,000,000 overnight. You're right. It's not relatable. And at the end of the day, when you are trying to appeal to an ideal client, they want to be able to see what's possible for them. And if there is such a big disconnect between what you're presenting and where they feel they're at, then it's going to be really hard to bridge that massive gap that they're just not going to be able to see how that happens. So it sounds like what you did is you took that and almost made it a superpower. You took it and turned it into a positive thing. Can you talk a little bit about what was the response like from your community, from your followers, from the people consuming your video? Did anybody say anything?
The authenticity piece, I really got a lot of thank yous for it because I also, like you said, turned it into my superpower. First of all, I just want to clarify that did not happen overnight for me. Like, it definitely was more of a process. I really had to show up with the conviction and belief in myself that I still have something to bring to the table here. It would be a disservice to actually not show up on video. I'm thinking of a client in particular who said to me it almost made the things that I say more real because I was living it and showing it and walking the walk as I was going through it. And I've had other people, not clients, followers on Instagram, people that have heard my story just say, like, thank you so much. It's just refreshing to have somebody that is imperfect navigating and that we're looking to and living this in real time. So I did have a positive response about that. And then that helps build, right, the momentum to keep going and keep sharing and just showing like, okay, it doesn't have to be this overnight transformation. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can still be taking steps. I think a lot of times people are so focused on that outcome that they want. Of course we all are. We're all human, right? We want the desired outcome, but we lose sight of the journey and the small steps and the wins along the way.
And building sustainable habits, right? I think that is such an underrated thing is just that getting 1% better every day, or being able to find two things you can connect together. And this is not my term, habit stack, from Atomic Habits, just kind of putting those different habits together, and then it becomes ingrained and it becomes a part of your day. So, do you have any rituals that you do, things that you develop during that time that help you show up more confidently on camera now? And talk to us a little bit about where are you at now with all of this?
So, with the rituals and routines, I love that you brought up habit stacking because I think that's so important for the sustainability piece of changes. But for me, it's important to start my day. And let me clarify too, my day does not start at 5 a.m. I have two kids that are 4 and under. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. So the whole morning routine, like this is a messy morning routine.
Do it messy, it's okay.
Um, but I like to start my day after my kids are out and off to daycare with a walk. I like to say of any length, distance, duration, time, because then it becomes like, oh, is that a good enough walk? So I like to just clear my head, get in that mode, come back, have my breakfast, my coffee, and kind of just journal a little bit on whatever's coming up for me. That all of that could take 15 minutes if I do a 5-minute walk and a 5-minute journaling and have my breakfast ready to go. So it doesn't have to be this long, drawn out thing. I also, for me, this is not so much daily, but I do strength train. I aim for 3 days a week, and that in and of itself makes me feel more confident. I see progress over time, and that just helps me show up better on camera, off camera, in my relationships, in my jobs, all of it. So that would be another thing. And then I think as far as the camera specific question, anything I do like before I get on camera, I just make sure that I am wearing something that I feel good in and that I don't feel like I have to be like tugging at, especially since a lot of my videos are going to be on like a full body mode, demonstrating things. And it doesn't have to be what everybody else is wearing. It doesn't have to be one certain way. I really believe that you have your own personal brand, and mine is not a fancy brand. Like that would be very off brand for me. So being able to show up ahead of time and just something casual, comfortable, that is me.
I love that you brought up brand, and it's something I like to call the vibe vocab. That clients and I work on, like, what's your vibe vocab? So, Athena, what is your vibe vocab? Have you spent time thinking about and being deliberate about the vibe that you're putting out? Because a lot of times that brand may come off as sort of like, oh, she just threw that on. But sometimes that's also a very deliberate thing, particularly in the fitness space where perhaps there's partnerships or affiliates or brands that like being affiliated with a very authentic fitness brand, for instance. So, how deliberate are you about the vibe?
I wouldn't say totally deliberate, but for me, I just want my vibe to always be relatable, authentic, down to earth. I'm not one that's going to be selling all these nonsense fitness and nutrition things. So I would say that those are the main things: relatable, down to earth, casual, like let's just get it done. Imperfect, really.
I love that. I love that. And that sounds so relatable. One thing that is coming through in what you're saying and what you and I have chatted about is this whole idea of a lot of entrepreneurs these days, a lot of women listening, women are over 40, right? You said you particularly focus in the over 35 demographic, but particularly that sort of even pre-menopause. There's changes going on in your body, and you are at a point in your life where there's a lot of change happening internally. And that is both physical in terms of weight gain, your body's looking different, but also hormonal in terms of not feeling great. Perhaps there's certain times of the month where you're more irritable and you don't feel like you can show up and be as happy or peppy or confident or whatever it is that you usually feel is you. So can you talk a bit a little bit about how you navigate some of those challenges and how you would recommend that women, particularly in that sort of midlife to, as you get into your 50s, 60s, how do you maintain that positive body image when there's so much rapid change going on?
Yeah, and I mean, it is a reality that there are hormonal changes that are going on. So you have to learn to work with them and work with your body rather than continue to fight against your body. That is going to be huge. When it comes to this particular age bracket, I mentioned that my own habits around strength training, everyone is always trying to find these anti-aging hacks, tricks, things, right? Nothing wrong with that. However, having muscle on your body is probably the best thing that you can do for an anti-aging, I'm going to use quotes, hack. The more muscle that you have on your body, the better you're going to be able to navigate the very real hormonal changes that happen during perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. Never mind, then you, again, feel more confident. You are able to move well and independently and keep up and do the things that you want to do. You're on camera and you catch a glimpse of your muscle on the Zoom screen and you're like, oh, look at that. So I do believe that making sure that you are lifting in a way that is going to elicit the changes to have muscle on your body, and it's never too late to start, is probably the most important thing that someone can do. You also mentioned times of the month that you might not be feeling as on or vibrant as other times. And I think it's important to, just like I said, work with your body with the bigger picture hormonal changes. It's also important to work with your body on a more micro level, day to day, week to week, month to month. If you're having uncomfortable cycles and you know that for the couple days prior to your cycle, you feel bloated, you feel low energy, you are just not up for it, you don't feel like yourself, plan for that. Don't try and schedule your filming on those days. So having that, then it makes you just feel more in control instead of having your cycle or your body feel like it's running you.
I love that. I love that. And obviously, batching is such an important part of a sustainable content creation schedule that's going to not knock you off if you're feeling terrible or force you to shoot something really important when you're not feeling your best. So I really love combining that you should be batching your video anyway with, oh, and by the way, what are the days that you're planning to film those videos? And are there certain times of the month, of the year, perhaps, during the winter, there's periods where you get really, really affected by darkness.
Yep.
Things like that, right? Like maybe you front load your video production in January or something, or December, and then you've got content for 2 months. So there's lots of ways around that not feeling your best. And particularly in your case, like a lot of people are doing their videos from here up. So they don't have to worry if they're feeling bloated or if, this is not a great day. But in the fitness space, or for a lot of business owners and people who are on camera, who have to show their whole body in a lot of different types of contexts, like physiotherapists, other health practitioners, and people who are demonstrating things, people in different industries where it's really about you doing those actions. I love that you brought that up. Another thing that you and I have talked about off camera that I think is so important is I love your thoughts on the whole body positivity movement, because there was that whole era of, the be this stick thin, and then we went a little bit over to the other side, which is like anything goes. What is your take on the whole body positivity movement, and what do you suggest people focus on in that regard?
This is definitely controversial. And I do think that we've swung a little bit too much to the body positive side. Now, I have a caveat with that. I think that what happens is we hear all the messages about body positivity. And I love the concept of being positive about your body. I love operating from a place of self-worth, regardless of where you are. I love the concept of having respect for your body, regardless of where you are right now. What I think can be a downside of the body positivity movement is that then when we do have a desire to make a change to our physique, then we almost feel bad about wanting to make that change. It makes us feel like we shouldn't want to make that change because I should love my body as it is, right? And so that's what I hear from a lot of my clients when they first start working with me. It's almost like they're embarrassed or ashamed to admit that they want to make changes to their body because they've heard I should just love myself the way I am. So the way that I work around that is that it doesn't have to be an either or. There can be duality. There's so much duality in so many different areas of life, and you can want to make a change to your body and not hate it at the same time. And that takes work. That takes a lot of that inner work that I was talking about before.
Wow. So that's really, you said body neutrality, not body positivity. So tell me a little bit more about what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. If you're not necessarily body positive, you're not, down on your body image, you have a neutrality about it. What does that mean exactly?
Let's just use someone who hates their thighs. Probably relatable for many people. You're looking in the mirror, you're trying on your jeans, and you're like, ugh, I am disgusting. My thighs are huge. That is a very negative way to speak to yourself when you're looking in the mirror. But to go from that to, I love the cellulite on my thighs is so unreadable. It's like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel like an approachable place. So taking this kind of stepping stone, staircase, one small step at a time, how can we make that initial thought of, ugh, I'm so gross, just a little bit less negative? Maybe it's just, these are my thighs today. And that's it. We don't have to make it anything else, but that's a little bit more neutral.
And that's such a simple shift, but you also have to believe that. So do you have any resources or recommendations for people who are watching or listening or like, okay, that sounds easy, but like, then I look in the mirror and I'm like, no, I still hate them. I still hate them right now.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a process. You're going to feel a little uncomfortable with it at first. It's going to feel a little disingenuous at first, but like anything, the more that you practice it, then the more you do believe it. It does become more of a habit. You could change the statement from, I hate my thighs to, I don't love my thighs today because I'm uncomfortable in these pants. And that is more believable. Mm-hmm. Because that is true, right? So you're not making up this untrue statement. Eventually, the goal is to get to a point where the goal doesn't even have to be to ever get to that completely positive point, but it could get, my goal for my clients is to get them to a place where they can acknowledge where they're at and also appreciate something about that body part at the same time. These thighs allow me to participate in this activity, for example.
So for those who are thinking about this and saying, okay, strength training, Athena, I've got it. How on earth do I do that? Right? Because not everybody has time to get to a gym. And as business owners, particularly those of us who are moms, who have zero time to begin with. And then on top of that, we have to be like, okay, now I have to do strength training. What's your advice?
My advice is to make it work within the confines of your life. So I think so often people hear about whatever fitness routine it is that they want to start, and they think, okay, that means 5 days a week. That means hour-long workouts. That means I have to get strength training. I have to get to the gym and do it with a barbell. No, that's actually not true. So how many days do you actually think realistically you could dedicate to a strength training routine? And on those days, what time? Is it twice a week for 30 minutes? That's where we start. And we have to let it be enough. And it is enough because it's more than nothing. And also strength training, we hear so much that you have to be lifting heavy, and that is true. And heavy is also relative. So heavy for someone might be who's just starting out with strength training might be 10 pounds. Heavy for someone else might be 40 pounds. Heavy for, it just depends on where you're at. So you almost have to put your blinders on to what you're seeing, hearing, all the things, and just look at what you have to work with. Do you have dumbbells at home? Do you have twice a week, 30 minutes? Great. You can do my Strength Jumpstart program.
That is amazing. Athena, this has been such a great conversation. Is there anything else you want to leave people with? Any other tips or advice for those who are, either having some really bad negative self-talk from a body image perspective, or are like, how on earth do I fit this whole thing in amongst all the other things? What are some parting thoughts?
Yeah, I think that just remembering that a body in motion stays in motion, and just start. Anything that you do to start, whether it's a 10-minute walk, whether it is one workout, whether it's drinking your water in the morning tomorrow, then you've started. You're on the way. You will stay in momentum. And when you're doing that, when you are taking care of yourself, you do just feel better. You have more energy. Even if the scale's not going down right then, that's not the only marker for things. You feel better about yourself. You show up more confidently about yourself because you're taking care of yourself, because you've made that commitment to yourself. So I guess that was kind of a two-part answer. Just start with where you are and get into motion, and then remembering that every time you make that choice to take care of yourself, that starts that cycle of feeling better about your body in general.
Mm-hmm. And that will come through on camera as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Athena, thank you so much for your time. If people want to connect with you, how should they get in touch?
Yeah, the place that I hang out most often is on Instagram. It's just my full name at Athena Concannon. And I also right now have a website, achievewithathena.com. It's going through a big redesign, so you can find me there, but maybe check it out in November.
Well, maybe people are watching or listening to this after. So that's amazing. We'll link all of that in the show notes as well and keep it updated. Athena, thank you so much for your time today. I love your honesty, and just hearing that someone who actually teaches this stuff went through it herself. It just makes you all the more authentic, and it really makes you connect on camera, if I might say so myself.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Camera Confident. Help us grow by subscribing, liking, and sharing this podcast. And be sure to follow me on LinkedIn at Shirlee and on Instagram at b.camera.confident. See you next time.